Welcome to the Dungeons & Dragons Home Rules campaign. We usually refer to this one as either the Four Corners campaign or the Seven Pilgrims campaign. To begin, here are some character backstories. Kaytor is the son of a male druid and a female ranger. His father was killed by a werebear when Kaytor was a child, but before he died, he was able to scar the bear's face. The hunters in the village of Olakem knew the werebear by that mark, and always abandoned the hunt when this werebear was near. Kaytor's mother, Catherine, taught him the ways of the wood elves, how to shoot a bow, and how to survey the land. Kaytor's mother was an expert gatherer, and taught Kaytor about many plants that could be eaten, used for medicine, and made into poison. On a cold winter night of Kaytor's youth, he built a fire too close to his tree shelter, and the snow from the branches melted enough to collapse onto him. A village elder, Aleon, found Kaytor before dawn and saved his life by putting a magical ring of warmth on his finger. As Kaytor approached the age of 80, he was nearly fully grown, and eager to perform his first solo hunt to be officially recognized as an adult. Normally, the first solo hunt is a buck deer, with the antlers being used to make needles and necklaces, and the pelt being used to make clothing. Kaytor, however, had one thing in mind when he took his bow and arrows and went off while the village slept. He knew that he needed to kill the werebear that killed his father. If not, he'd never be truly free of fear. Kaytor found the den of the beast, and climbed a sturdy tree nearby. Kaytor waited in perfect silence for 2 days, until the werebear had devoured its most recent kill and needed to leave the den to hunt again. He stood on the sturdy branch, 30 feet up and 40 feet away from the mouth of the den, with his bowstring taut and his gaze unflinching. As the werebear lumbered out of the den, it lifted its head to sniff the air, but before it could catch the scent of the elf, Kaytor's arrow buried itself so deep in its good eye that the feathers were covered with blood and ichor. The werebear collapsed. Kaytor had a second arrow nocked and drawn, and waited for several seconds before relaxing his arm and accepting that it was over. The village was shocked when Kaytor returned, dragging the large beast behind him. Some of the villagers were fearful of his ferocity, others were glad to see the werebear would no longer be a danger to them, and Kaytor's mother was crying as the image brought back memories of her late husband. After a brief celebration of his first successful hunt, Kaytor comforted his mother and they nailed the pelt to a large tree near the entrance of the village, to help ward off predators and bandits. Kaytor opted to leave the village, in search of adventure, friendship, and possibly love. To remind him of home, the village elders gave him a crafted wooden shield engraved with the symbol of his mother's family, a bow and arrow, with vines twisting around the arrow. Talandril, Tilly, Malgelinis was an elf orphan, barely surviving on the streets of the small town of Four Corners, when she was found and adopted by the Thieves Guild. The guild master, Tam Cherrywood, personally took her as his daughter, and raised her to be a skilled thief. Tam's biological son, Serge, was older than Tilly, and much more active in the guild, but much less obedient, and Tam had his suspicions of what the young man was growing into. Tilly became Tam's most trusted daylight thief. For some reason, he never went outside after dawn. After a recent fiasco with a storehouse used by the Thieves Guild, Tam calls Tilly in to discuss her next mission.
My son has been abducted by cultists and taken to the temple. If he is alive, bring him back to me. If he is dead, retrieve his signet ring. Yondo is directing adventurers to the temple. If we throw enough bodies in there, eventually one of them will take down the cult leaders. That bastard private investigator is being sent with you. Keep an eye on him. If he finds anything valuable, take it without him noticing, and bring it back to me. If you manage to clear the temple, the guild will be there to repatriate what valuables they have taken from us.
Jack Spriggett is an amateur wizard from Four Corners that has used his abilities to become a prominent private investigator in the town. He often runs into conflict with the Thieves Guild, as he is good enough to catch them. One day, Jack finds a Thieves Guild storehouse full of valuable objects from all over the town and beyond. Much more wealth than anyone in the town could have. Jack reports the storehouse to the guards, and they assist him in returning all the stolen goods to their rightful owners. Shortly after Jack leaves the presence of the guards, he is caught by a few very muscular members of the Thieves Guild, and taken to the head enforcer, who calls himself Legbreaker. 400 platinum pieces, that is the debt owed for the storehouse. If Jack can't pay up within a month, they will hunt him down and kill him. They'll recoup what they can by selling his organs on the black market, and his spellbook would fetch a fair price too. Over the next month, you'll never be truly alone. We'll be watching you, and if you think of running away, the next thought in your head will be about how painful it is to have daggers in your spine. Yondo, the bartender in the local tavern, who also acts as the rumor spreader for the Thieves Guild, finds Jack calming his nerves with ale.
I hear you're in quite a debt to the guild. There's a temple out in the swamp. Some cultists have been taking things that belong to the guild and storing them there, including a 4-foot-tall platinum-plated statue of the town's mayor. The statue is worth about 400 platinum pieces, so if you get it back, the guild master will be very pleased. He might even let you keep your head.
Felonir Rilm is a half-orc fighter, a young veteran soldier. She left the army in search of something more exciting. Lorgar Bloodfist was born and raised to be a cleric of the blood god. Lorgar wears heavy plate armor and wields a magical hammer that can both hurt and heal. He is the ideal servant to gather skulls for the Skull Throne. Years of training and torture involved with becoming a full-fledged champion of the blood god have driven him insane. The only thing he cares about is killing everything he can find, to serve the blood god. Thok was born from unknown parents, as most children are of the town Four Corners. He has only known his crew of thieves. Unlike other thieves in the guild, he is a part of the crew that collects debts and intercepts any dissidents in the town and local surrounding areas. The pack, as they were called, was a mix of races and skills, all focused on one thing: protect the guild and its interests. Never having anything more than Thok could procure on the job, he learned that the pack will give him all he needs, if he followed their sacred tenets. Never betray the guild or face death. Never argue with authority. Protect the guild members at all cost. Never do harm to those of the guild and its associates. Back up the pack's choices no matter what. Legbreaker was his highly abusive alpha of the pack that often took the form of an animal to beat on his victims. He never liked to watch as Legbreaker ripped off his victims' legs to see how far they could crawl away. Thok was his errand boy and watchdog. After a time, Thok grew to want more. He thought of the peaceful method Robin Red Hood used to extort nobles by robbing them blind with her guile. She loved to hear them call out in flocks, "Thief!" She always hid well away in shadows. She never wants to be seen by anyone, even by pack members. Thok also thought of Verse Fretter, who could move a crowd to tears or great anger with his AXE, a flaming singing battle axe. His songs were of dark thrashing horrid sounds that had the magical effect of changing people's moods. He is loved by many for his infectious music and his perfect half-elf features. There are two others in the pack that Thok's thoughts would linger on. Brawain Hexdare, the Dark Cleric. She would insert herself into others' faiths that opposed the guild, and help take them down. Thok never knew what god or goddess she followed, but he knew it demanded blood. Brawn enshrouded her deity, as it would shame her to have others know her its motives. Emil Lation of the Dragon's Fire. Emil believes he has dragon's fire tucked away deep within him. The more he feels the flames raging within him, the more he is compelled to burn the world. His plight is that he does not want to destroy the world, so he spends his time trying to master the sleeping horror of hate that is with him. His role in the pack is to feed his inner flame with the wicked people that would disrupt the order of the town, or oppose the guild. Seeing how Thok grew distant from his work, Tam, the leader of the guild, sent him on a quest. Eager to prove he has a place in the world, to be more than an errand boy for Legbreaker, Thok accepted the mission. The issue is that Thok has a mind like that of a trained dog. He understands the concepts of good and evil, but he prefers to act quickly and think later, especially when following orders. Gus Zul is an elderly forest gnome druid, who has known his share of drunken parties. His beard is full of twigs, and he smells like compost. One night, after a particularly drunken party, Gus found himself invited into the house of Taylor the Tailor in Wabidi. More characters joined the campaign later on, but we'll cover their character intros closer to their first appearances.